Welcome back to Talk to Harry. My name is Rommel Sangalang, and I'm here to, Harry has the day off, so I'm here to actually introduce my friends who are entrepreneurs in business in the Philippines and doing quite well. And we're going to actually tackle one of the major issues in the Philippines. One of the things I've noticed is service is defined differently here. Of course, in the restaurant world and in other places such as banks, service defines the brand. Right? I mean, you can't have a nice brand if you can't have people feel that when they walk into the store, they're number one. So with that, I feel I'm never number one in many places I walk into. So can you tell me how you change people who actually work for you or people that do business for you? What are the things that you do to improve service and to improve your brand in that area? We'll start with you, Mike, in your restaurant.
Well, I think you need to actually sit down and actually spend time with your employees. You have to kind of like hold their hands a little bit. I think from coming from America, we're so used to a different kind of service. You can't sit there and say, you know, hey, why isn't everyone like this? But you can at least show them some things to help improve the customer sentiment to come back. It's really important. They have to be engaging. They have to be caring.
Do they ever come back to you after them and their families maybe go to a different restaurant? And do they ever come back to you and goes, wow, the service there was really bad. Now I actually see what you're saying as far as treating the clients differently, treating them like they're special and important. Do they ever, after you train them, do they ever see the black and white difference between what you're expecting and what they're experiencing out there?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. You know, I have customers who don't even like coming to my restaurant unless I'm there. Because I make sure everything's okay. You know, you get the proper greet, you know, the small talk, you know, send some free food out sometimes, you know, join them for a drink. Things like that make a really big difference.
Yeah.
When I go out, you know, I've seen some really, really poor service. And it just shows that some people just care about the money, and I care about returning customers.
Yeah.
You know, making money on someone dining one time is not going to make you successful.
Yeah.
You want to be busy, and you want to have turnovers.
Yeah.
So I think if I wanted to give advice to people who are in the restaurant business, you just have to spend some time with your employees, show them how it's done. You can't get mad at them. You have to teach them what to do. I mean,
well, speaking of not getting mad,
in the beginning,
what's your turnover rate? I mean, how many people do you actually have to let go because they just don't get it?
Well, in the beginning, it was a lot. It was a little harder. But then, as soon as I got used to this country, it became a little easier in the way I speak to them.
Okay.
They're a little more timid. They're not used to much criticism, so you have to be careful how you say it to not offend them too much.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's one of the adjustments I had to make.
Okay. Is it so you have a core team now that's sticking around, but before you had to rotate them out?
Not often, because you learn slowly through the interview process what you really want. I remember having this interview with this lady. She was an hour late, and I reminded her not to be late. She was an hour late, and I had about people waiting in line for interviews, and I asked her a lot of questions, and she barely had any answers. I remember asking her, so do you know anything about my restaurant? She goes, no. So she didn't do any homework. I asked her why she wants to work here. And her only answer was, because I need the money. So and then I wrapped up the interview asking her, so do you have any other questions for me? She goes, no. I'm like, you have no questions for me? She goes, no. I go, how about this? Would you like to know how much your salary is? Would you like to know what hours you'll be working? Would you like to know what time we close? Would you like to know what your overtime pay is?
Yeah.
Things like that. Or do we provide you lunch or dinner?
Yeah.
Things like that I would normally ask in an interview, was not asked back from her.
Yeah.
And then I knew quickly right away that I was able to be more selective on who I even wanted to interview.
Very good.
By asking some questions before they even came in. So I pre-screened, just a pre-screening.
Yeah.
Before they came in.
John, I know that you had a situation where a client actually said that the booby butter I love saying that word. That the booby butter actually might have caused an allergic reaction on their part,
Yeah.
and that you had to go investigate, why that is. Did the producer of the actual lotion, were they very helpful? I mean, tell me about the service that they give you, you being the client, and they being the production manufacturing. How did you feel, and what resolved that?
They were very helpful. The moment I got the complaint, I immediately called my manufacturers. I asked them, "Hey, what happened?" They said, "Where did they store these? Where did they store these lotions? It might be it's exposed to heat, or since one ingredient is not common to local lotions being sold in the market, it might have caused the reaction."
So what time frame? So you say you called them in the morning, and then they got back to you that afternoon?
Well, I called them in the afternoon, and I got a call back in the evening, and I got all my answers.
Okay.
So the best thing they were able to do was call these the defective lotions back, and we replaced them with a new one without the other ingredient.
Okay. So that's really good. I mean, for a Filipino company.
Yes, for a Filipino company, that's a very fast
That's very
response.
fast.
Yeah.
So I think we're coming up online. I mean, we have a reputation. People come here in this country all the time, or even the expats that live here, they're like
Slowest internet.
slow. But this is really good. This is great news that in 2014, us as a manufacturing arm of Asia
Yeah.
can be very flexible and very quick in response. And then, of course, the population of our workers now have an understanding. This is what I need for us to be really top-tier service. Pay attention, watch the tables. There's still places actually in very high-end malls I go into, and then I have no beer in my glass. And for 10 minutes, I
Sit
can't get
empty.
attention. Yet 3 of them are chatting away, probably some telenova that I don't watch, and not paying attention to the fact that, I've been thirsty for the last 10 minutes. So there's still a lot of change that has to happen. But this story actually is basically heartwarming that we are getting there. We are becoming one of the
Certain
premier
establishments
places.
really
Yes, to
do the
manufacture goods, to have great service, and of course training is
But
important.
I find that the Filipino workers, a lot of them are actually shy.
They're shy.
Yeah, I find them shy.
Okay. This
You
is
know,
not good when you're in the service industry.
Right. That's why you got to really know who you want to hire.
Yeah.
I know some people, I've heard stories about people going to interviews and getting to the door, and then you hear them running away. Because they're just too shy to do the interview.
Yeah, especially when they find out you're an American, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are they afraid to make mistakes?
Yes, they are.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mistakes are one of the few ways we learn in life, which comes back to my next question. As an employer, especially when you're looking for a manager, does it matter to you if they come from Ateneo, UP, or some other college? Because what I find here is my background is I've been in General Electric since 1989. But if I'm going to compete against some guy who's not even done half the things I've done, the guy from Ateneo is going to win. It's just the way it works here. But with entrepreneurs, I don't think you guys have that same level of expectation. But you tell me yourself, what does being UP and Atenean, when you're looking for a store manager, or looking for a franchise manager, how does that affect you? Or do you really look at the skills that they've done for the last 5 to 10 years?
Well, for only being for 4 years, I've noticed that my friends who go to those top tier schools are businessmen as well. So I don't really get those applications from the schools. They're entrepreneurs as well.
Yeah.
Their families have businesses. They're running their families' businesses. They're doing their own endeavors.
So to you, to pick a manager really isn't that difficult because it's not really that UP or Ateneans are applying for that?
Finding a manager is even tougher. I think you have to really, what I look for is more their personality, and if I can train them.
Yeah.
Usually, if you can find someone like that, I think you're going to be okay. If they can't be trainable, then it's a tough slope you're climbing.
True.
Okay.
Yeah, I just feel like if you're motivated enough to teach, I think you can be happy. And that's what a lot of people make mistakes here, is that in life, you have to love what you do. You want to find someone who's passionate, who likes it, who wants to be there. If you don't find that kind of person, then, you're going to have a lot of headaches.
That's true.
Yeah. That's just my feeling. Those top schools produce very bright kids.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
And,
I mean,
and those bright kids get gobbled up quick,
yeah.
you know, and I can't afford to pay them that compared to all the big international companies or big Filipino
Yeah.
companies or their parents.
Actually, a lot of my colleagues, CFOs, and people I do private equity work with
Yeah.
are from UP, Ateneo, and
Yeah.
LaSalle. Very brilliant, very smart, very well connected. I go through the line when I have either a bank a firm that wants to buy a bank in the Philippines. I go through the line. They're usually clusters, and then they spread out, and usually I get word within 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah.
So they're very well connected. But I understand. It's just I was just wondering how the middle managers tend to do that.
Right.
And one last question. I know that the Philippines there's two reputations in branding that the Philippines needs changing. One is we're a disaster zone waiting to happen. Right? We always have pictures of people swimming every time we have a typhoon go through this country. It's very embarrassing. People wonder if I'm okay, and I'm like, look, this is just mass media telling you what's going on in these places. The second thing, that really hinders business though, because businesses are like, well, do I want to have a business there where every time there's typhoon season that my business will be underwater? And it's so not true. The second thing though is the equity play on businesses' ownership. Now, AEC is trying to change that. The ASEAN Economic Community wants fair play in all the Asian countries, but here currently a 40-60 split is still a common thing. How do you feel about that as a foreigner coming in and having foreign people come in and start entrepreneurships here, or even your friends in Canada or in Australia? How do they feel about 40-60 splits, and what other things in the Philippines can change as far as politics so that bigger international companies have a better option with the Philippines than anywhere else in Asia? I'd especially like to beat up China, but do you think it's fair, the 40-60? Do you think it's even required as a Filipino? Do you know why it's protecting such things?
To prohibit foreign ownership of properties and establishments.
Yeah, infrastructure play.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. But really, and this goes against you, a clothing manufacturing
Yeah.
group has to be 40-60 owned. Is that even reasonable? That we can't have foreign ownerships of such things?
I mean, in a foreign guy's point of view, that's very unfair. I mean, it'll cut their margins real good and real big.
But to your point of view, it's still something that should be done to protect the little guy?
Yeah, it's beneficial for the small Filipinos starting up.
Okay. And how do you feel about that? We've got 3 minutes, but I just wanted to give you one last measure on that 40-60 split.
Well, I definitely think that more businesses would come to the Philippines if it was a more of an equal level playing field.
Okay.
Less corruption, more trust.
Yeah.
And going back to media, my friends call me all the time and say, why are you in the Philippines? Volcano explosion to, typhoons. I have a brother that's supposed to visit me, and he doesn't visit me because he's like, every time he wants to come, it's flooding.
Yeah.
Or there's a typhoon here. It's like, why should I come? It's like, I can't go to the beach and get a tan, and we're known for beaches.
Yeah.
So I can see how everyone sees all the negatives about the Philippines, but there's so much positive here, and that's why I'm here.
Even in the whole rainy season, I've never been flooded in my neighborhood. So it's just
Right.
very specific areas,
Right.
and we have to explain that. Well, thank you so much for being a guest. I really
Thank you
do
for having
hope.
us.
Thank you for having us.
I really do hope that your endeavors become bigger, and then a year from now, 2 years from now, you'll be like very big, popular
You asked me.
personalities, and then we'll be able to say we saw you start here first.
Sure.
Again, thank you very much, Harry, for giving me an opportunity to have entrepreneurs and show how the Philippines can be a rich growing ground for people with bright ideas, simple ideas that will be executed well. I think the Philippines does have a bad brand in the sense of weather and how people see that we're always drowning, which isn't the truth, but we do have to have the ability to show them the beaches, the corals, and everything else that we enjoy here, including the big cities that we have, Makati, Cebu, all the functional things that we have infrastructure-wise. One of the things I do want to leave the audience with is if you have an idea, if you have a way that you believe would be successful in the Philippines, don't give up that dream. There are many people that try it And one of the things that really hinder them is their own heart, to be shy and not to ask. Go out there. Don't be shy. Ask. Have courage like these two. Have courage to ask people who know if you're going to be successful and how to do it. And in that way, I think the entire country will be rich in the sense of families being able to uplift themselves from poverty, as well as other community people having the benefit of restaurants, services, and manufacturing so that people can be employed. Thank you so much for the time that you've given us today, and hope to see you soon.
This guy's a natural.
You are what you watch.